Sounds like the shofar. Shabbat Shalom. It seems like it was only yesterday when I said that. Bochim Abayim. In Hebrew it means blessed are those who have come here. So you see, you're already blessed. You just had to show up. All right, good night. Welcome to this incredible moment in the Jewish year. I can't believe it. It's slichot. And my heart overflows. I get to do it again. We're here. We made it through another year. Yes. And you know, it's no mistake that there are 18 days between this night and Kol Nidre. It's no mistake that we are going to journey through those high holidays over exactly 18 days. It's also no mistake that the collapsed gematria of this year, 5780, gives us the letter Bet. And I'll say more about that when we meet again for Rosh Hashanah Eve, 8 days from now, Sunday night. 18 days. We're gifted 18 days. You know, for those of you who might not know it, 18 is a very important number in Jewish tradition. It is written in Hebrew because, you know, our language predates Arabic numerals. So the way we wrote numbers were actually with our letters. And to write 18 in Hebrew, you use the letter Chet, which is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and the letter Yud, which is the 10th. 8 and 10, and you get 18. Chet and Yud give us the word Chai. And Chai means life. In Jewish tradition, when we make donations, we often do it in multiples of 18 as a way to multiply life, giving life through our giving. So we have 18 high holy days. And I think that what it is telling us is that if we really step into the energies that this time allows and offers, that if we really go into it wholehearted, that we step into the moment with great kavanah, with great intentionality, then I think those 18 days can be life-changing for each and every one of us. 18 days that we're going to carve out as a spiritual retreat. A spiritual retreat for us to deep dive into the work that we need to do, that we're invited to do, the inner work of clearing within ourselves the obstacles that are preventing us from growing. And the theme that I decided to have this year, because that's what I need, so I do what I need and then I invite you in. Thank you for indulging me. The theme is spiritual resilience. Because let's face it, we're in trouble. And it's been hard to be around in the last couple, 2.5 years and more. And it's been hard to feel like we are being harassed almost every day because another awful thing just happened. And I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of moments in the last few months where I've felt really depressed. What I felt, I didn't know what to do with my life. And I know I've shared this in this space some Shabbats ago. But there have been a lot of moments where I have doubted what I do. Because there's so much need out there at so many different levels that you wonder, and I wonder out loud to myself whether the kind of things that I offer, that I do, isn't a little too selfish, too indulgent. I mean, what good does it do to sit in meditation for hours on end? What does it really matter to share teachings from the Kabbalah when there is so much need out there, so much that needs doing? And I have really questioned whether this might be irrelevant, maybe an indulgence of our privileges. And then I thought, no way. And then I thought about Albert Einstein, a great rabbi in the 20th century, dabbled in science a little bit, but mostly a great philosopher. And one of the things he said that I've known for so many years, one of the things he said was, you cannot solve a problem at the level of consciousness from which that problem arises. You cannot solve a problem at the level of consciousness from which that problem arises. If you meet the problem at the same level, then you will only add to it. We need to transcend where we are right now in order to be able to see from a little bit of a distance, from a little bit of a broader, maybe higher ground perspective, what in fact is needed. If we stay stuck in the story that we inhabit currently, a story that is leading us off the cliff, and we cannot meet that story with a story that happens on the same plane. We have to find the story that is yearning to be uncovered, discovered, to address this nightmare we're now part of. And so, in fact, I came to the realization that the work that happens in this space, the work that happened within the walls of our community, is what is most needed. is what is most needed. Spiritual resilience. Spiritual resilience stands on a three-legged stool, if you like, made up of meditation, introspection, and keeping conscious company. Those are the three pillars that can sustain us as we move forward to uncover what story needs to emerge if we're going to literally survive as a species. Not only us, but all other species on this planet. Because meditation, as one of the three, meditation gives us the space that we need to gain distance from the story. And I have come to understanding that now more than ever, we can no longer postpone entering into our meditation practice. It can no longer be nice books on the shelves. It can no longer be just listening to this teacher or that teacher. We have to go home and begin, if we haven't, to engage in this practice. Whether it's 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever works for you. But twice a day, engage, do all of us a favor. Do the world a favor. Engage in this practice. What meditation does is that it helps us sit, breathe, and gain spaciousness between us and our story. It allows us to look at whatever is, whatever emerges, whatever content in our consciousness arises as an object in awareness and no longer collapse into it as a subject. No longer identify with the content of consciousness. So we can sit and observe the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, all the drama, and know that we have freedom to simply observe and not identify ourselves with the unfolding drama arising. Meditation gives us that freedom, that spaciousness, and it's a practice in equanimity. And a practice in equanimity helps us no longer be triggered by whatever the world slaps us with day in and day out. Introspection is the second pillar. And it stems from meditation. Introspection, there's the quote from Einstein continues. It's rarely quoted, but Einstein, and I'm paraphrasing, says that it is more important to know what the problem is than to ultimately find the solution. And introspection gives us that opportunity to take a look at the stories we inhabit, our story and its limitations, but also the story we inhabit in different contexts in our life, our communal context, our national context, our global citizen context, and to try to be very clear and very aware about what those stories are so that we can begin to no longer believe in them, to understand them just as stories. And from that place, we might be able then to find stories that are more compassionate, more healing, more supportive of the evolution of humanity instead of its destruction. The last pillar is keeping conscious company. Because we keep a lot of unconscious company. Meaning that we keep a lot of noise swirling around in our life. And that noise is not supportive of our healing. That noise is not supportive of our ability to free ourselves from it. So we need to surround ourselves with reminders, teachers, books, podcasts, YouTubes, whatever you use, of spiritual teachers or philosophers, of people that can help us break free from the known, the limitations of the known. So that's what we're going to practice together through those 18 days, to find new life within ourselves. And that's what we are going to actually do right now with reading the Ashrei together, which is on page 3 in your Machzor, your High Holy Day Machzor. I love the Ashrei. It's a gorgeous poem, prayer, however you look at it, because it is there to remind us of the divine manifestation in everything and in every place. See, one of the things that we have lost because of the stories we have inhabited for the past 350 years, the stories of modernity and postmodernity, we have lost connection with our heart. We got stuck in our minds. And we've lost connection with nature. We've lost the relationship with nature that we had, that saw nature and the world around us, every blade of grass, every bird, every tree, as sacred, as holy. And the Ashrei, as we are going to read it together now, is one of those to keeping conscious company. Keep it with you. Have it on your bedside. Take the prayer booklet tonight. Make a photocopy. Bring the prayer booklet for Rosh Hashanah. But have it. We'll read together and you'll know what I mean. Join me. We'll start with the Hebrew and then read all the way to the bottom of the page. Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yehalelu chasela. Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo. Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Elohav. Happy are those who dwell in your house, for their hearts sing praises in your presence. Happy are the people who choose what is. Happy are the people who see all creation as the expression of the One. A Psalm of David. How wondrous the ways you manifest, Holy One. How blessed your eternal name. Every day I find more opportunities to bless, in awe of your presence in my life. I sing with joy in the presence of being, within and without, everywhere and nowhere. Each generation praises the marvels of creation, bewildered by its magnificence. Anywhere I turn, I am surrounded by beauty. Words of wonder overwhelm me. Overpowering are the energies of your being that always draw me back to my center. The knowledge of your goodness enlivens me. Your righteousness stirs within me. You are gracious and merciful, endowing every soul with patience and love. Goodness is the source of all creation, compassion the ground of all existence. I am moved with infinite gratitude, blessed by the grace of your being. In all my actions, I express thankfulness for all the blessings of my world. In every being, your presence awakens, every one beautiful and worthy. Your being fills all worlds, visible and invisible, time-bound and timeless. You are the love that uplifts the downtrodden, raises up the humiliated. All eyes see but your presence everywhere. You are the nourishment in every moment. In opening our hearts to your being, you satiate us beyond our will. I walk in your footsteps when I act justly, for compassion is the fabric of creation. Closer than I can ever fathom is the eternal. You are the truth behind all experiences. You await at the end of all desires, beyond the chatter of the mind. You are the love that guards us along the way, that tears down the walls of our delusions. I will praise the Holy One, for in the heart of all beings is your name forever engraved. Va'anachnu nevarech Yah, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah. And we will bless the Eternal One, now and always. Hallelujah. We meet the Shehechianu on page 4. Shehechianu reminds us we are not in control. We are not in charge. So we bless the miracle of life pulsating within us right now in this moment. And this moment. And this moment. But knowing that the next moment is unknown. Whether our hearts will continue or not. You, Holy One, are that life. We bless the awesome truth of existence. We exist, we are. This is you. And you. And you. And again, you. And somehow, we made it. Somehow we are here. Somehow we are alive. Somehow, we're not done. Please rise. Join me in the Hebrew, in the English, and then we'll sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Blessed One, you are the emptiness that manifests as form. You are the life within us. You support and sustain us on our unique path and bring us to this moment for blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Seated. We continue with the Havdalah. Havdalah in Hebrew means separation. We make a transition in our Shabbat, in our tradition. We make a transition at the end of Shabbat from the holy day of Shabbat, stepping into the rest of the week. But for us, the rest of the week is not just the mundane rest of the week. It is the first step in our journey through the 18 days, the 18 high holy days. So this is a very unique Havdalah that we get to do once a year in this space. I think about Havdalah as a mezuzah in time, especially this Havdalah. You know, a mezuzah is the little cylinder that we affix on the doorposts of our homes. We have the Shema and the Ve'ahavta in it, the two prayers, one that reminds us it's all one, the other one that tells us open your heart and practice loving. And we touch the mezuzah, remember those two affirmations, and then we walk into our homes. Oftentimes we get home maybe upset from the day, maybe angry, and we walk into our house carrying still the rest of the day with us, and we meet our loved ones and they have no idea what happened, and we are not really nice to be around. But in our tradition, if we enter into some of those practices of mindfulness, as we touch the mezuzah, remember the oneness of it all, remember the love, then we step into our homes from a very different place inside of us. The Havdalah of the High Holy Days is a mezuzah in time. And we step into one, we leave one energy, the energy of Shabbat, and step into a different kind of energy. But in doing that, we also seek to remember what it is that we are intending to do through those days ahead of us. So as the lights grow dim in the sanctuary, I'm going to light the candle, the Havdalah candle. Actually, you can turn those lights off as well. If you could, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And I think we need to practice the melody, because for some of us, it's been a whole year. Just the yai dai dai part. Yai dai 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 I know Kelly's trying fiercely to figure out how to turn all the lights off, but I'm going to move forward and trust that the universe will make happen whatever needs to happen. The Havdalah ceremony has 3 different components and 4 prayers. The first component is the blessing over the fruit of the vine. And I'm looking at this Kiddush cup, and I feel this is kind of where I am right now. I feel that there is so much already here, so much already in the cup of my life that I have a really hard time finding space, creating space in my life to see if something else could perhaps awaken. And I'm going to venture to say that I'm not the only one. So let's imagine this year that instead of filling the cup of our Havdalah ceremony, we're going to try to figure out how to empty it. How to step into those high holidays with as empty a cup as we can. So that we might make ourselves available to see what is yearning, what is awaiting, what we need to discover, rewrite in the year about to be. And just as we do during the Havdalah service, we're going to bless that. And we're not going to taste it yet. You know, the Havdalah is one of those moments where you say the blessing, but you don't fulfill it immediately. And that's what happens. Let's whatever is yearning to be met for us these high holidays, we're going to bless it right now in advance and trust that the universe will provide and that we will know what to put in our cup next year. Let's bless.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen.
The next blessing is over spices. I like the image that the Jewish mystics use for spices. Spices in our tradition are understood to be levels of consciousness. There are multiple different kind of spices, and in fact in Kabbalah, our mystics have ranked them. I won't tell you which one is at the bottom of the ladder, because I have no idea. But what I know is, at the top of the ladder is maradachia, pure myrrh. Myrrh was a very prized spice in the Middle East 3,000 years ago, and therefore it was so hard to find, so precious, that our sages decided that was going to be the spice, the name of the enlightened ones. Maradachia. It's the root of the name Mordechai, who's the hero of the story of Purim, which I'll talk about on Purim. But Maradachia was Mordechai, is Mordechai. So I'm going to invite you to hold on to the spices over there. He's going to pass them. I'm going to go all the way to the back. So if you're in the front, just pass it to the people in the back. If you're in the back, just pass them to the people in the front. After we say the blessing, you can start smelling the spices now. Is there enough? Maybe I can give you one, Stephanie, and you can pass it behind you. And I'm going to give one for the singers. The blessing is Boreh Meoreh Esh. The word Esh is the word that we use for flame. And it's as if we were blessing the flame, but we're not blessing the flame. Esh is an incredible word in Hebrew. It is the root for two other words, Ish and Isha. Ish and Isha, the masculine and the feminine, men and women. Esh gives us Ish and Isha. Esh, the energy, the flame, the heat, is what we are made of. We are Esh with a Yud, or we are Esh with a He. But we are Esh. Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh. I read this year as maybe how the mystics saw it. I don't know. Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh is blessing the Creator of enlightenment for those of us made up of energies. Blessed is the Holy One who enlightens beings like us. Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh. Oh, sorry, what am I talking about? No, this is my teaching for the next thing. So I'm not going to do it again. But remember it. Where were the spices? Boreh mineh v'samim, to bless the layers of consciousness that we can embrace and transcend, embrace and transcend. Blessed are you, Holy One of Being, which brings enlightenment to us, energy beings. Wanting to improvise these last few days. Part of the blessing is to cup our hands. And as we do that, to see the light of the candle, cup your hands all the way like this, like me. To see the light of the candles reflected on your fingernails. And then see the shadow that the light casts as well. I'm not going to be able to go individually everywhere, but I'm going to go to the middle here. The teaching is always for me to remember that at this level of reality, the light of the divine is only reflected in all that is. We are, as the Kabbalists call it, the sparks of the one awakening in the universe. But at this level of reality, every light casts a shadow. And at this level of reality, we cannot have one without the other. And it would be part of our practice in equanimity to remember that with every blessing comes a curse, with every curse comes a blessing. With every moment of light, there will be a moment of darkness. We cannot avoid the truth of life in the manifest world. One of my favorite teachings, I was sharing that with the musicians earlier. Everything is always already broken. And if we can live with that, then we have less attachment to only wanting the light. We suffer because we only want the light. We bless a moment of transition, that we may begin a process of letting go of our personal stories and of all the stories we inhabit, that this world may also let go of the stories that are swallowing it alive, that we may be available to hear the story of tomorrow waiting to be told. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. We said the English at the bottom of the page together if you are able to read. If you're not, I will. Blessed One, you are the emptiness that manifests as form, the source of all that is, the one who distinguishes the holy from the ordinary, the light from the dark, the spiritual path of the people called Israel from the spiritual path of other peoples, the seventh day of rest from the 6 days of creating. Blessed One, you are the emptiness that manifests as form, the one who separates that which is holy from that which is yet to be holy. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. BenHaim. As we now extinguish the candle, the Havdalah candle, into the remaining wine, may we shine the light of our being, our divine self, into the container that is our cup of life.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimera beyamenu, Yavo Elenu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov.
Page 5.
Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Shavua Tov, 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 Shavua Tov.
We continue with the 13 qualities of God's name. Just to remind ourselves that that name is our name. There is no God out there to whom this is addressed. But what we do is that we trick our false self, our separate sense of self, into engaging in practices, songs, prayers, meditations, in order to eventually starve the self so much that it dies on its own. So these words are not addressed to a God out there. They are addressed to each and every one of us. Join me. Holy One of being, embodiment of compassion and grace, you address us one by one, support us in understanding our limitations, forgive our inadequacies, and pass over our too blatant mistakes. You expunge the many instances when we have found ourselves missing the mark, and welcome back all those who stray. You deal righteously with every breathing being, and do not dwell on our too human flaws. Long ago, you taught us a new song on the 13 qualities of your name. Remember this song today as you did in that ancient wilderness, as it is recounted in your Torah, when your Spirit descended in a cloud upon him and enwrapped him in its glory. And there it is said that he experienced your presence and heard a voice calling, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata'a V'Nakeh. The eternal, God of compassion, grace, patience, unending loving kindness, and truth, bearing love for 1,000 generations, cleansing and forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. And we'll sing the Hebrew of that verse.
Adonai,
Adonai,
It is time. It is time, as we enter into the high holidays, that our Torah wears her high holiday garb. So I'd like to invite Cindy Campbell and Karen Warner to join me, and the rest of you to please rise. We're going to do it right here. Oh, you know what? We're going to do it right here, in front of the ark. Hi. Shavua Tov. So, one of you is going to hold the Torah, and the other one is going to undress her and then dress her first. And Jal is going to play something in the background. So during the rest of the year, our Torah is wearing a dress that says, Adonai Echad. It is all one. I'll introduce you to our Torah on Rosh Hashanah Day, Monday, in 9 days from now. During the high holiday, she wears white, because we wear white during specifically Yom Kippur. And her clothes say, Yehi Or, let there be light. I wanted Karen and Cindy to do this tonight because we wouldn't have high holidays without their leadership. They are the ones who organize everybody and everything, who provide and make sure that you have what you need when you walk in and it's all seamless. Believe me, it takes a lot of volunteers, a lot of work, and a lot of coordination from all of them, how many of them they are. And we are deeply grateful for the time and heart that you give so that we can create this space for our spiritual journey. And we appreciate you. And since you're here and the ark is open, I'd like to invite all of us to turn to page 6. And we'll hear for the first time with the High Holiday melodies, the words of the Shema, the words that are the central affirmation of our tradition, written on this scroll and every scroll that ever was inked from 2,500 years. Shema Yisrael. If you could place the Torah back in the ark. She's going to need to have a little foot like that. There you go. Thank you. We'll keep the ark open. And we'll say together the Shema Kolenu and the Ashivenu before our musicians sing it. Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, chuz v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim uvratzon et tfilatenu. Listen to our voice, Eternal One of Being. Show us kindness and compassion, and receive our prayers with kind-heartedness and goodwill. Hashivenu Adonai elecha, v'nashuva. Chadesh yameinu kekedem. Return us to you, Holy One, and we shall return. Renew our lives as you've done before. We are going to actually sing together the Hashivenu once again. But we are going to sing it with the unique High Holy Day melodies. And the High Holy Day melodies for that song are one of those melodies that, it's one of those deeply yearning and mournful melodies that is meant to help us open our hearts, to surrender the need to control, the need to present a certain kind of us to the world, to help us break the klipot, as we say in Kabbalah, the shells that surround and encase our heart. That kind of melody. So I'm going to ask again for the lights to be all the way dark. Kelly, if you can, even the lights underneath the ceilings there on both sides. I don't know if you can from up there. Oh, yes. Yes. That's good. This is not a presentation, this is one of those where you are invited as well to lead and bring your voice and pray and sing and let go and surrender. If you have a prayer shawl and you want to cover yourself with it, now is a good time. Nobody can see you anyways. We're going to keep it going for as long as it seems we need it to. So just surrender. Let go. And if at some point you feel that you need to sit because we've been standing for too long, just feel free to do that. Nobody will see you anyways. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Hashivenu. Please be seated. And we'll just step into a few moments of silent meditation. All that arises in awareness isn't you. All that is being awared. Thoughts, sensations, emotions, desires isn't you. It is just content. You are the great observer. And all that arises within you. You are that which witnesses all the thoughts, all the feelings, emotions, all the sensations, and you are not any of it. You exist prior to any of it arising. You are that which observes. And you've always been here. You're the only constant in the ever-changing nature of our body-mind. You've always been there, observing. When we were 4, 14, 40, you were always here, observing. Observing the story of the unfolding of whatever you have as a name. Which is not your name. You've been here since this body-mind was born, observing, aware. In fact, you've been observing and aware even before Abraham was born. You've always been here. And within you, everything arises. There is nothing outside of you. You are oneness and multitudes. You are one and nothing, nothing and everything. You simply awares. You simply are here. There's nowhere to go to find you, because that you are that which is doing the searching. There's no place to go to look for you, because you are that which is doing the looking. You are one. I am the one, I am, I am. I am the one, I am, I am. I am the one, I in a moment that will be difficult, the lights are going to come back into the sanctuary. So keep your eyes closed for a second to ease into the transition from darkness into light, into the Havdalah. And give yourself a couple seconds. And then when you're ready, you'll open your eyes. We're on page 7 of your Machzor. We meet the Al-Chet for the first time through these high holy days. The litany of confession, the Jewish confession that we meet every year with the service of Slichot. And every year I remind ourselves that though we have the word translated as sin, chet in Hebrew does not equate to sin, but is an archery term that means to miss the mark. When do we miss the mark? We miss the mark when we act in our life in a way that off kilter from the compassionate, loving being that we are. We act in a way that misses the mark when we fail to remember the truth of our being. When we identify with a separate sense of self who is addicted to control, who lives in fear. We miss the mark when we try to control the flow of the river of life instead of merely flowing with it. We collapse into our addiction to control because we desperately want to avoid the bells of Notre Dame to ring in the middle of our Slichot service. But see, we can't. The bells will sound because in that moment, that is what is needed. So that the rabbi can say some funny thing. And now has to work hard to bring us back into the energies that he was so desperately trying to create. To help us enter mindfully into the Al-Chet, which is so hard. But it's true, we try to avoid desperately unpleasant sensations, unpleasant moments, unpleasant encounters, unpleasant situations. And we try to multiply as much as we can, the pleasant situations. And because it is the nature of that separate sense of self to avoid the unpleasant and seek the pleasant, we miss the mark. I mean, think about how much of anything your ego does or decides is based on avoiding the unpleasant and maximizing the pleasant. I would venture to say that if you take a serious look, you will see that is 99% of everything you do, think, comes from those two opposite yet connected yearnings, which ultimately comes from wishing to control life and to control others. But when we act from that place of avoiding the unpleasant and seeking only the pleasant, what we manifest in our world is greed, selfishness, lust, anger, jealousy. I mean, look at our world. Look at what this pattern within us has brought us to. On the edge of extinction. But what we see happening on the outside is only a reflection of what's going on the inside. And the Al-Khet is there to help us see in our life, through this litany of times we have missed the mark, how that in fact manifests. So this is not about beating ourselves up. I mean, I called it confession. But it really is never about beating ourselves up. It's never been about beating ourselves up. It's always been about making the unconscious conscious. It's always been about being aware of the ways, the destructive ways we show up in our world because we avoid the unpleasant and seek the pleasant. So we name the ways we show up in our world in destructive ways. And as we name them, we get a chance to let go of them. We take responsibility for them. And that in turn makes us more humble, more compassionate, because we know that it's a universal disease. And then we get a chance to clean up our mess. Because awareness without action means nothing. For the sin we have sinned before you. The we is a universal we. You're not alone. And as long as we are in this body, as long as we haven't completely transcended everything and realized no self and are walking on, well, no, Jews don't walk on, well, they do, actually. We're more the people who part the waters. And we wrestle with everything. We are all in this together. So please rise. And join me. Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, we are not so insolent to claim that we are without failing. we join the ancient litany of confession as a community, as we have done for generations. For all the moments when with our actions, our words, our thoughts, our feelings, and our images, we denied the life that is our life, God of forgiveness. Forgive us, pardon us, grant us at-one-ment. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you. Join me. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, for the sin we have sinned before you by hardening our hearts to the feelings of others. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bevli da'at, for the sin we have sinned before you because we lacked knowledge of the consequences of our actions. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha begilui arayot, for the sin we have sinned before you through acting against our own morality. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bagalui uvasater, for the sin we have sinned before you openly or in secret. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'da'at uv'mirma, for the sin we have sinned before you knowingly and deceitfully. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh, for the sin we have sinned before you through speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha behona'at re'ah, for the sin we have sinned before you through deceiving another person. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bazadon uvishgaga, for the sin we have sinned before you consciously or unconsciously. Ve'al kulam Eloha slichot, slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all of them, God of forgiveness, forgive us, release us, grant us atonement. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha belatzon, for the sin we have sinned before you through scorning others. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechozek yad, for the sin we have sinned before you by hurtfully exercising power. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bilshon hara, for the sin we have sinned before you by hurting others through our speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masa uv'matan, for the sin we have sinned before you through dishonest and hurtful business dealings. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha beflilut, for the sin we have sinned before you in judging others and ourselves unfairly. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bekashiyut oref, for the sin we have sinned before you through being obstinate. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha besinat chinam, for the sin we have sinned before you by hating too easily. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha betimhon levav, for the sin we have sinned before you through not knowing our own heart. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all of them, God of forgiveness, forgive us, release us, grant us atonement. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by failing to work toward peace. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by keeping silent in the face of injustice. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by not acting to relieve the suffering of those in distant lands. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by not caring for the poor in our midst. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by not acting to protect our fragile environment. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by indulging ourselves while others suffer. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by being unclear about our priorities in the life you have given us. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the sin we have sinned before you by being closed to your presence in our lives. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, selach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all of them, God of forgiveness, forgive us, release us, grant us atonement. Please be seated. We continue with Adonai Ori. Holy One of Being. May we be guided on this journey through 18 high holy days, that we might source at the center of our being, the ground, the centeredness, the rootedness of the spiritual resilience we need. To face a world that needs now more than ever our compassion, our love, our care, our embrace. That we might be a force for good. That we might be a force for peace and understanding, a force for justice. Amen. We have a couple more things to do to close tonight. I just wanted to remind you that as Yom Kippur is approaching and our Yizkor service as well, if there are any names of loved ones who have made their transition since the last Yom Kippur, you would like me to call their name out during the memorial service on Yom Kippur, please email those names to the Bet Aleph office, info@betaleph.org. We are just 8 days from Rosh Hashanah. We'll enter into the year 5780, the year of the letter Bet, Sunday night, the 29th, and then meet again in the morning of Monday the 30th. Now, I know that it is very hard for many of us to take even a morning off. And I am here, since Shabbat is over, willing and able to write you a Rabbi note for your employers to let them know that your absence needs to be excused. And you know, I say that every year, but if we lived in LA or in New York City, I wouldn't have to say that. Because nothing is open. Because nobody shows up. No teachers, nobody shows up. But here, it is not part of the consciousness of those of us who live in the Northwest. So it is your job to make it part of the consciousness. It is important that minorities get to celebrate their holidays too. So take a stand this year and come on Monday. Take a stand for you and for us, for all of us. And be here on Wednesday, October 9, the whole day for Yom Kippur. And when you come, don't forget to bring food. We're collecting, as we do every year, to try to mitigate one of our al-Khet as a community. We bring food to the Jewish Family Service Food Bank. We collect at each and every one of our services. So please, I'm sure there are bags in the atrium for you to grab. It tells you what to put in it, and come back with bags full. We are back on page 7. Actually, we're going to go to the top of page 8. No, top of page 7. I was right. But the inner doubter made me doubt. We're going to share the Ribono Shel Olam together. Ribono Shel Olam is a prayer that traditionally we say every night before going to bed. It is our prayer for forgiveness, to let go of the day. We don't want to go harboring in our hearts resentment and anger. And so every day before closing our eyes, just in case we might never open them again. Really, that's actually the practice. Just in case we might never open them again. We end our day with forgiving ourselves and forgiving others and forgiving the universe. It's called Ribono Shel Olam, ruling presence of the universe. And it starts like that.
Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam.
Can join.
Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel
As Mike continues on his own, join me in the English. Ruling presence of the universe, I now forgive all who have hurt me, all who have done me wrong, whether deliberately or by accident, whether by words, by deed, or by thought, whether against my pride, my person, or my property, in this incarnation or in any other. May no one be punished on my account, and may it be thy will, eternal one. And the God of my fathers and mothers, that I be no more bound by the wrongs which I have committed, that I be free from patterns that cause pain to me and to others, that I no longer do that which is evil in thy sight. May my past failings be wiped away in your great mercy, eternal one. And may they no longer manifest through pain and suffering. Let my words, my thoughts, my meditations, and my acts flow from the fullness of your being, eternal one, source of my being and my Redeemer. One more time. Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam. from this moment forward, we greet each other saying, L'Shana Tova. May this year about to be for us personally, for those in the circle of our families, our communities, our nation, and our world. May this year be for good. I'm going to invite you to please rise. This is the month of Elul, and at the end of all our services, we sound the sound of the shofar. The shofar that is the sound meant to break the klipot, the walls, the shelves around our hearts. May we walk into the days, the holy days, with a heart wide open. L'Shana Tova.